I know I like a little bit of just, hey, just
Get Lucy.
That's why I had the 3 shots before we went on.
Really?
Oh, you only do
No.
2 shots. 2, the Moderna and the no, Jason.
That's why you were sick for like almost a week. You did 2 shots. Come on,
That's
man.
right.
You did 2 different variations, 2 different pharmaceutical solutions.
So when I was a teacher, I would get so excited to teach that I would take like a quarter of a Xanax to just help calm myself down before I would teach. And one night I forgot if I took it or not, so I just took it. Well, apparently it was my second or third one. So class just started with like, all right, everybody. So here's what happened. We're gonna get through this together. Slowly.
You went full McConaughey.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna get through this class.
I forgot my assignment. Doesn't matter. You're doing great.
All right.
Hello. People are starting to show up here in the Twitch chat and YouTube, so
Hey.
it's great to see you. Thanks for being here today. We're doing it again. Yay.
One more time. Hold on, break out my singing.
This is going to be a regular occurrence here on the Twitch stream and on YouTube. We're going to do this at least once a month, hopefully every 2 weeks. We'll see. But if you're here for the news, this is not the news. We're about to do a Backdoors and Breaches live stream. Ralph's like, it's not the news? What?
I've been prepping for like the whole day. Thank you. Now it's ruined.
You've got your
Every
links
news
ready to
article.
go.
Yeah, I had all my links.
Nothing's happened in cybersecurity in the last 24 hours.
Nothing.
Well, let's just hope nothing comes out of this that becomes news.
Yeah,
Unless
that's
it's an
also
article
true.
from The Hill written as an opinion that set a lot of people off.
I do have questions about half those articles.
No words.
No words.
Well, and we ran out of banter. Good job, everybody.
Yep.
It took
Hey,
3
all right.
minutes.
I killed it. I'm sorry. I killed it.
Yes,
Gosh,
you did
just
it.
talking
All right.
about,
Drink.
hyped up news articles.
So, Blake, I know last time, and we may talk about it again, but
Sure.
you said SIME. You called it a SIME. You called the
Yes.
SIEM or SIM a SIME. I was playing Backdoors and Breaches with someone earlier today that called it a CM.
Okay. So it is open to interpretation, or no?
Yes. So
No.
what are your thoughts? A CM?
So I'm a reformed InfoSec person now, and I say SIM. I don't know where the SIME came from. It just happened, and you got to roll with it. At that point, the cat's out of the bag. You know.
Thank you, Noah.
Just stick with
Thank you, Noah, for flooring comment.
Yes.
Came,
Alright, we got about-
came back around.
A
I
minute
had
before we
background.
get started here.
In
Yeah,
terrible
yeah.
pronunciation, and I'll admit to this because you got to admit, if you've only ever read something, how do you know how to say it? I was learning about computers, and my uncle was an administrator for a large, power company. He did programming in some ancient, language. And I said, "Yeah, I'm on this BBS, and they've made me the SysOp." And he stares at me. He goes, "SysOp? Do you mean SysOp?" And I go, "Sure, yeah, that one of those." I'm one of those. He's like, and he just started bawling, laughing, and I'm like, well, that's really not very encouraging, Uncle Derry. But yeah, if you only ever read it, how do you know how to say it?
Right.
The
Similar
Cyclops
to
ops.
pseudo or
You
sudo.
read it on Reddit.
Sudo. Yeah.
Sedon't. Sudo, go make me a sandwich.
I keep
Yeah.
yelling like pseudo at those puzzles with the math, and they never solve themselves. I don't understand how that command works.
Sudoku.
The
Yeah.
That's what's that.
Sudoku puzzles.
Oh,
Fun story. You don't need Sudo if you just always run as root.
Oh yeah.
that's right. Just yeah, absolutely.
All right, everybody. It is 4:30. It is time for another edition of Backdoors and Breaches Live, where we invite guests on from the Infomec. Did I call it
Infomec. Here we go.
I was supposed to bring my Gundam.
How do we restart the live stream?
Fly this shit, buddy. Fly
It already started. All right, so welcome to Backdoors and Breaches Live. I'm just Jason Blanchard. I'm not doing much today except controlling the tabletop simulator that Ian Meyer will be using. I'm here to introduce Ian Meyer. He's going to be our incident master today. Our hope is to bring on future incident masters. So if you've been playing Backdoors and Breaches and you're like, hey, I'd like to do this on a live stream, sure, sounds great. You can always reach out to me or on the Discord channel or through email. But Ian Meyer's our host, so if you could bring up Ian, and I could just say that Ian is probably one of my favorite people in the Infosec community. He is the president of BHIS Orlando. I just feel like he's an instructor, a great guy. And he's taken cubicles and compromises, which is what Backdoors and Breaches is built on. And he just like went in another direction with cubicles and compromises and turned it into like a viable thing. We couldn't do that, and so we created Backdoors and Breaches, but Ian was able to, and so maybe we should just copy what Ian's doing. So instead, we just brought him on to play Backdoors and Breaches. And with that, Ian, it's all yours.
Well, first off, I mean, you're one of my favorite people, big guy. Like this is like that's so no, yeah. Thank you for those kind words. Like I said, my name's Ian Meyer. I do run the Advanced Cubicles and Compromises at Wild West Hack and Fest, which is coming up in Reno, Nevada. It was June 16th and 17th there, Jason. So you should definitely sign up for that if you're listening. There's my plug. I'll take the $10 later. So with that said, we are going to play Backdoors and Breaches today, and I've put together a wonderful scenario for the team of folks that are going to help us solve this. So if it is your first time hearing about Backdoors and Breaches, if you turn into the live stream to see what this is all about, let's talk about it for just a moment. Backdoors and Breaches is a card game that you can play with your business, with your peers, with people that might need to learn a little bit more about incident response and understand the ways in which attackers get into an environment and how you might respond to it. So there's a few rules that you need to understand. We'll go through them real quick, and then we'll introduce the team that'll be playing with us today. And if it's, like I said, your first time seeing it, don't worry, it'll all start to make sense pretty quickly. So what we have as we go through this environment, you should be seeing now the game board. We have 4 things that we need to solve to beat the incident, to stop the attacker. And those are we have our initial compromise, how the attacker got into the environment. We then have our pivot and escalate. Once they got in, where did they move to? What did they do? How did they escalate privilege? Well, just like any good APT, once they've done that, they need to maintain persistence. They don't want to leave. They're comfortable. They got a couch. They're getting creds. They're stealing stuff. So they want to stay. They don't want to be kicked out. So they've got persistence. And then the last thing they'll go through and do is the command and control and exfil. How can they send more commands in to get more things? How can they control that persistence that they have? And then how do they get that sweet, sweet, juicy data out of the environment so they can compromise it further? There's some other rules that you should be aware of as well. So we have a series of procedures that you get to use. We have a set of procedures that the team can use. They're laid out on here that give them a +3 modifier. Now, what does that mean? These procedures are procedures that the team knows incredibly well. So we saw a seam there. We saw calling a consultant, endpoint analysis there, user entity behavior analytics, and then the last one, isolation. So these are procedures that the team knows incredibly well. And when they go to use them to try and figure out any of these 4 areas that the attackers are using to get in the environment, they get a +3 modifier. And you're saying, but Ian, what are you talking about? A +3 modifier? Well, this game injects entropy, randomness, and that is done in the form of D20 dice. Now, what you're seeing on the screen is a virtual representation of this. In person, I've got one of these cool Black Hills dice, but in person, you would roll the dice. And what ends up happening is if you get a 1 through a 10, well, unfortunately, even though the procedure that you chose to try and figure something out should have worked, it didn't. Maybe if you're SolarWinds, I probably shouldn't say that it's SolarWinds, you blame the intern. Oh, the intern didn't do it. All right. Or, the backups weren't there or whatever it is, it just didn't work. Now, when it doesn't work, you can't use that procedure again for another 3 turns. However, if it was one of those written procedures, the ones you just kill it at, you had the big 4 come in and they said, man, you're so incredibly mature in this area. It's amazing. And you get that +3 modifier. If you rolled a 10, you get +3, which brings you up to 10, 11, 12, 13, and now you pass. And if your procedure happens to be one that is effective at discovering one of those 4 areas, your card flips over and you find out one of the ways, whether it be C2, exfil, pivot, escalate, whatever it is, one of the ways that the attackers got into the environment and what they're doing, right? So if it didn't work, it spins, you don't get to use it again. Now, those written procedures, those 5 that you got that give the +3, those aren't the only ones you can use. Any of the procedures in the Black Hills Backdoors and Breaches card set you can use. They just don't give you that modifier. When you do use them, though, you can only use them for another 3 turns as it goes through. So they have that cooldown period for those of you who are gamers. So last couple rules we want to cover real quick before we introduce the team here is also those rolls. If you happen to roll a 1, you just flat failed. You fell completely on your face. You went to get the backup and literally you dropped it and it shattered into a million pieces. I don't know how that would happen. It was just that bad. If you roll a 1, you have to pull an inject card. So an inject card, and that's a procedure card. Thought I had an inject card here. I do. You have to pull an inject card. What's an inject? Well, this is a new thing that comes up. It could be good. It could be bad. Who knows? It's just another problem or benefit that you have to deal with. So if you roll a 1 or 20, you do that. Also, if for whatever reason you pull procedure cards and 3 times in a row, you fail the procedure doesn't work, you got to roll an inject card. So just to, add insult to injury, if you're still not making your way, you pull an inject card. But remember, those injects aren't always bad. Sometimes you get lucky. It's like, ooh, somebody found the backup. Ooh, something good happened. So we're going to stop there because I think we covered everything. Jason, did I miss anything before we roll into introductions?
Nope. Just a reminder that there's a 3-turn cool-off period for successful and unsuccessful.
Yes, thank you. Mm-hmm. Thank you for the clarity. Perfect. So I believe we are ready to start. And look, we have this lovely group of folks ready to go here. And I'll just do the quick name introductions for everyone. So Caitlin, hello. Thank you for joining us today and playing. We've also got V, Q, we've got Blake, myself on camera there, and then we've got Ralph as well. So thank you for joining. Say hi, everybody.
Hello. Hello.
Hi.
Hello. Are you ready to play?
As ready as ever.
Are you ready for the scenario?
Yeah.
I think it's a little too late to back out.
It's too late to back out. That's right. Jason will hunt you down.
Is it too late to back up? I don't know.
Is it too late to back up?
It is. If you're asking that question, it is too late to back up.
That's a good point.
Ready to start. Okay. So we're ready for the scenario. Excellent.
Ian scares me a little bit. I don't know why. He looks all like sweet and innocent and he's going to come up with a crazy scenario. I just know it.
Oh, well, I mean, are you prepared for werewolves that have Hack 5 devices?
Yes. Werewolves love pineapples. Let's do it.
Werewolves love pineapples. So, excellent. So we're ready. It's after hours, and you find yourself on call for the incident response team. You finally come home after a long week of dealing with triage and alerts and phishing emails, and you get a PagerDuty notification. The Security Operations Center noticed some odd authentications. It hasn't seen them before. You call the SOC to find out what they're seeing and what's going on. They respond back that it looks like they're service accounts of some sort, and they seem to be ours. They're using our naming convention, but they're not coming in the way that they usually would, and some are successful. They're getting logged in, and we don't ever see these accounts being used on these services. There's a lot of attempts, and we think this might be, and you do your best, Penn and Teller. I think we've got a hacker. What's your first move? Feel free to ask questions.
Someone said resign. I mean, I don't know. It's feeling like an option.
Is it too soon to call cyber risk insurance?
So do we know where these accounts are logging into? And when I say where, do we mean into an Azure login endpoint, or is this authenticating against our Active Directory domain?
Excellent. Okay, excellent question. Hold on, let me ask. Let me get the. Hey, junior sock guy.
Love it.
Okay. They said external. They said it's external OWA, that kind of stuff. They're just hitting anything that's on the edge.
So, did you say that they were getting successful logins for
Some of them are
service accounts?
successful. Yeah. Service
Okay.
accounts.
All right. So we have compromised accounts.
Mm-hmm.
That's a fact.
Potentially, or accounts that can log in from external that might have got sprayed.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So the screen's a little blurry for me because it's out of Zoom. Is there ability to zoom in and see our?
Yeah, let's go through our procedures again. So what do we have? We can check our SIM. We can call a consultant. We can look at endpoint security protection analysis. We can do user entity behavior analytics. Or we can start isolating systems, those ones that people are attaching to.
I would rule out EUBA because if these accounts haven't authenticated before, there's probably not enough context in the EUBA to get anything meaningful.
Mm-hmm.
My vote is for the SIM.
I'm voting for the seam. I'm going the seam.
Yeah.
All right.
Sorry, I had to bring it back.
There it is. We have our first move of 10. Remember, 10. You have 10 turns to figure this out. You want purple or you want orange?
Orange.
Caitlin?
Who's choosing?
Not me.
Purple.
Purple.
I heard a purple. Jason, I heard purple.
I'm blaming all of you guys if it doesn't work. Oh my gosh, purple.
14. 14. Excellent. So with 14, that was sim log analysis, right, Jason? The one up there?
Team.
That is correct.
Excellent.
Seam. The seam.
Everybody, as long as you remember that the J
to
is silent, it's okay.
We're going to give them external cloud access for the initial compromise.
It seems to work.
Yeah, it seems to work. Okay. So, and not that I'm telling you this for any particular reason, but just a reminder that just because you got one once with something doesn't mean that necessarily there aren't others that Seam wouldn't have discovered. So just keep that in mind as you're playing through, especially those who are new to watching. I am only required by, South Dakota law to give you one of the things if there are there. I don't know why South Dakota did that or why but either way.
It's a law.
Yeah, it's a law. It's just the way it is. So external cloud access. So the SOC starts digging through and they say, hey, wait a minute. I'm noticing here that these credentials, the only time that they ever get used on the network are when they're used to connect services internally up to some of these cloud environments that we have. So I think someone actually may have gotten access to some of these services that we actually have hosted outside and potentially got a hold of these credentials. So we're going to dig into that a little bit further, but that certainly seems to be the credentials that are being used to get into the environment. So you got a little more detail. You know that somehow an external cloud service potentially has some sort of impact that allowed for attackers to potentially use credentials to get into your environment. Time to turn off the internet. Turn it off. Shut it down.
It was SolarWinds again. God dang it.
That's right. We've got SolarWinds all over again. No. So we know that. So now that's turn one. We've now rotated our SIEM card, and we are moving on to turn two. What does the illustrious team here suggest we do with the new information? Feel free to ask questions about the first response.
So to cover this again, you said that the accounts that are authenticating have been provisioned in good faith to connect from on-prem to cloud.
Correct.
So these accounts would be then enabled to access the cloud. It wasn't a change in configuration. We're saying
that is a
these
correct
credentials have
understanding.
been compromised.
Yeah, that is a correct understanding. The credentials that were being used at that point were used specifically and created and configured to work with a cloud, a hybrid environment in which there's some on-prem and there's some cloud services, and some of the credentials that are being used are ones that have only ever been associated with those services.
Okay. My vote would be to do is the endpoint security analysis. I'm thinking that a box was compromised. The creds were hard-coded somewhere to run. That's just a thought.
Isn't there a separate one that does same on servers? I remember there being another card for that.
Isn't the endpoint?
Yeah.
There's server
There you go.
analysis.
I'm going to make weird, deceptive DM noises when you say things. I'm going to be like, and that means nothing, by the way.
That sounds like something out of North Dakota.
That's right. We don't do what North Dakotans do around here.
That's just my thought, just from saying that those credentials were provisioned for a reason. That's where we would find them.
That's a thought.
Now, those being service accounts, possibility that we may find more info in server analysis than endpoint analysis.
I agree with you too.
Those service accounts could have come from a workstation, right? I mean, there's tons of different services that run on workstations, log in to, especially like provisioning workstations. That's a common thing I've seen inside of environments. And they'll actually log into the system over and over again to provision and continue. Those credentials get in memory, right? They stay in W-Digest, a bunch of different places inside. And so, if you could extract that, you could possibly win immediately.
Right. Okay. What do we think, V?
Oh, wow, putting me on the spot. Do endpoint analysis, but the question is, do we know which boxes to potentially look at?
Nope.
But if we pick that, wouldn't that just, in spirit of the game, check all the endpoints?
Check all the endpoints. So jump into something in like a Carbon Black or an EDR or something like that and say, have I seen this anywhere? Please help. Is that
we'd be hopping on CrowdStrike.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so for those listening at home while they're thinking, the group here is thinking about taking your endpoint detection and response tools and hunting around to see, hey, do we see anything that looks potentially like these credentials executing on the systems, and seeing what processes may be running as well. So is that your vote?
I'm good with endpoint. I'm good with endpoint, or server. Those are both fine. I think there's some win there, but let's do endpoint.
Yeah, so I think not the card with the modifier. We're looking at the standard cards, right? Those two options.
Okay, which card are you going to use? That's server analysis.
Let's go with server analysis. That was Q's. I like Q's original line of thought.
Hey, don't blame me for that now.
Yeah.
Look, I know everyone would go isolate, and I see some comments, but one of the things I learned is that in the spirit of the game, you don't win anything by isolating the machine. However, in practice, we would want to isolate. We would want to minimize the impact.
Yeah, we'd have to find those hosts first, though.
All right, so which one are you going with?
Orange.
Let's do orange.
Oh, I'm sorry, but which card did we go with? I thought I heard some isolation changes there, or what?
No.
Okay, so it was server analysis.
Yeah,
Okay.
do server analysis. Let's go.
Very
Come
good.
on.
Okay, let's do it. 7. Okay, so, and server analysis wasn't one of our 3. Even if it was, it wouldn't have given us a modifier to get there. I should have gotten the prices right, like noises. That one I always feel like it's a little too much, but I was like, anyway. So server analysis. Unfortunately, you went through and checked the servers and hunted through the environment again using tools that are on the servers to detect either anything that might be out of place, any sort of indicator of compromise based on what you know, and there was nothing there. Nothing that led you to believe that there was any sort of challenge, any sort of link to the IOCs, just nothing. So unfortunately, that didn't do anything. So we're going to give that one a turn. That will be available to you again in 3 turns. I think Seam is now available to you in 2 turns, coming back in 2 turns. And we are moving on to turn 3. I need fail horns. Okay, so we're moving on to turn 3. So server analysis didn't do anything for us. We still know that there's our cloud services. They're associated somehow, the accounts that are logging in successfully to some places and not to others. Those services are still going, and right now we don't know much else. So what's
the option brought up in addition to the server was the endpoint protector analysis? Do we want to try that?
Endpoint? Yeah, that was one of the options brought up. So endpoint, hunting around and actually seeing if there's something on the individual endpoints that might give us a clue as to how these accounts potentially leaked out into the wild. James, hello. I don't know that it's the man, but it's a man, I guess. In the comments.
You're the man.
I am the man.
Yeah, we could do endpoint. I mean, does anyone have any?
Say the crowd.
My other thought would be Rita.
Ooh, going for the Rita.
Going for
cyber
Rita.
deception.
All right. Is there anyone we haven't heard from? I think we've heard, and I don't know everyone's voice when they're away yet. So is there anyone who hasn't chimed in yet? Come on, let's hear the feedback. Let's. You're in the war room. Think about it. It's the old. It's in before times. Your incident response now. There's cold pizza. Someone brought like half a flat of leftover Red Bull from the last time this happened. You start talking, getting a little punchy. No,
getting a little punchy.
all the dad jokes start coming out. Some of you aren't even fathers. Just like, I don't even know what happened.
Right. laughing at your failure.
Yes, exactly.
Maybe that's just a personal thing. I don't know.
Okay.
Just shining your
Crying
resume.
in a corner.
Yeah,
that's right.
You can fight. It's the war.
All right. So, so the word on the street here is endpoint. How does everyone feel about that? Let's get a thumbs up with everybody on screen.
Yeah, let's do it.
Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. V's. Oh, V's not okay. Just doing the whole gladiator thing in the middle there. You know. Anyway, okay. So we're going endpoint analysis. All right, let's go ahead and roll. Which color are we rolling? Did we already roll? I was looking down.
Which one
Let's
we
give orange
roll
another
last?
shot.
Orange. Oh, right. We're going back to orange.
Yeah. Shoot. Here we go. Come on.
Oh.
You know what? We should ban orange.
It's time to retire orange. Yeah.
This is how we always get in this game, where it's like orange. Sus. Anyway, okay. So we tried our analysis, looked around, and wait a minute. Hold on. Just realized something. Hey, hold on. Hey, deployment. Yeah, behind the queue. Put the pizza down. Yeah. Did you get the upgrade of Carbon Black done? There's 400 systems? There's 400 systems not done yet.
Of course.
Okay, so we didn't find anything because James didn't get this done and the project's behind. So yeah, there's no audit to this. So we didn't find anything, and unfortunately, James, seriously.
Another intern.
Fire James.
It's the last time we hire interns to save money.
That's the last time we give the intern domain admin privileges.
Is it that normal SOP? I don't understand what's wrong with this statement.
Right. That's right. That's right. Give them everything. Okay, so we didn't learn anything new. We have now failed 2 rolls. We're moving on to 4. So if we fail again, we are going to get one of our inject cards. So this one we really want to get at. So, and I need to start keeping track here. So we're on turn 4. Yeah. We're keeping track in another window, but okay. So we're on turn 4. Remember, what Seam is about to come back online, so we'll have that back next turn.
So maybe do Rita.
Rita, okay. Let's take a look here. Rita.
I say Rita.
Why are we thinking Rita for those listening in the audience? What would we get out of Rita?
You're asking me.
I mean, we hopefully find out where they're at, right?
Yeah,
help,
so
exactly. Exactly.
It's just narrowing it down.
Okay.
Detect beaconing, detect east-west traffic, find some anomalies, determine possible source destination inside our network where how they landed on those
Most
computers.
likely Janice from accounting system got popped, and so we'll find Janice, right? That's the hope.
Right.
Who was it that and is that where we're gonna go, Rita?
We're going Rita.
Let's
do Rita.
Rolling the purple
All
dice.
roads
Purple
lead to
dice.
Rita.
Purple dice. The orange
Yeah,
is
you can throw the
banned.
orange one away. Just
Yeah,
throw
that
it
orange
away.
one is no longer
Hold on.
welcome.
Don't roll. Who? I don't know. V or Caitlin? Who originally suggested? Who originally suggested Zeke? I heard one of you.
It was V.
I thought it was V. Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
V.
I said
V.
Rita.
You get to
Yeah.
choose purple or orange.
I'm not sure as hell I'm not going to do orange, so I mean purple.
Purple it is.
And just for the record, I'm terrible at dice roll, so I'm not expecting anything.
Well, don't
good.
worry. If it fails, it's Jason's fault.
Yes.
I
Jason.
told you.
11.
It was 11. It fell back.
I'm
Oh,
gonna touch it.
Jesus. You touched it.
It was 3.
This way. All right.
Okay, so we did.
The game is rigged.
This
Rita.
guess took a
Okay.
Okay, now we
So-
resign.
Now we.
Has somebody posted a
okay.
job yet?
Yeah.
You know.
I'm going to go in the draft folder
card?
and
Okay.
send.
I'm trying to come up with a quick scenario here for so one. Well, there's a couple things that are
kinda
going to
went
happen
through a
here
lot
now.
of
So we went into Rita. We started to pull those logs out, looking for beaconing, looking at any sort of behavior there. And hold on, Steve. Steve. Oh,
I think
Steve
it's
quit.
Russia.
Steve quit. Why? Oh. Okay. Steve turned off all the logging. It turns out that we stopped doing candy in the cafeteria, and we're like, Steve, it's COVID. We don't do that right now. And he was like, forget it. I'm out of here. And so all the logging's been off to bring that data through the network and whatnot. So James, can you? I know I yelled at you before. No, okay, it's okay, fine. Just fix it. Fix it. Okay. So what else happens as we move on to turn 5? Does everyone remember?
Day drinking.
Day drinking. Right. We call our mental health professional and we talk to them over a long cry.
Yeah.
That is a better coping mechanism than drinking, everyone.
It's crying. Perfect.
Okay. We have to pull an inject card because we've had 3 failures in a row. So the Ed McMahon to my Johnny Carson, could you get us an inject card from the Decky Deck? What do we get?
Oh,
Legal takes your most skilled handler into a meeting to explain the incident. That is not a great card.
But it's very realistic.
It is realistic. It is absolutely realistic. So who brought the lawyer to the party? So what does this card represent? You are dealing with an incident, and suddenly an executive bursts into the room and says, we've got a contract to sign with IKEA for all kinds of different nuts and bolts that we're going to ship with this Blinky box. And we say, why are we even doing this? Shut up. We need that person. Bring them with me. No, we need that. Oh, okay. Have fun storming the castle. So they've taken them away for very important reasons. So they may never come back. All is quiet. Now it's time to step up and shine. Now, I don't actually see a negative on this card other than it's kind of a storyline. Jason, can you give some clarity on that? I can't remember if there was actually a downturn to that.
So the thing is, Ian, you get to choose who's been leading the most in this incident, and they will remain silent until the incident is over.
Right. That's
your choice.
Right. Oh, who needs to remain silent? You know what? I think I'm going to do here. I think we're going to take. Hold on. I'm just going to leave it to chance because you've all actually been participating really well. So let's see. I should have gotten the 1 through 10. There we go. Ralph, sorry, buddy.
How did I know it was going to be me?
I actually I rolled until I got a number that matched, going this way. And sorry, man.
I could feel it.
Ralph, you've got to go with legal and help them figure out the legal requirements around testing the manufacturing systems for the IKEA nuts and bolts that have to be sold for the government penetration test to make sure that we can actually meet all the FedRAMP requirements and FIPS requirements. So you have fun with that.
I feel depressed.
You should.
but could we still contact him via email?
Could you still contact him by email? You could, but the lawyers are going to tell him we can't bring phones into the room right now. It's very highly, as we work out this manufacturing deal for the nuts and bolts that we don't need, but our customers want to come with our Blinky box.
Do we have an intern who can just walk in with a piece of paper?
Do we have
pretend to be Ralph?
Yeah.
Just slide him a note on the table.
I'll be over in the corner coloring, guys.
All right, so let's move on to 5. Time to sing the Doom song. So let's move on to 5. All right, Ralph, have fun with the legal team. Okay, so I believe we've got Sim back on the table. Yay, Sim back on the table. You remember, you still have your other pieces. You can call a consultant. You got any of the other procedures. At this point, we don't know anything new yet. We moved on to this is turn 5, right? Yeah, this is turn 5. So we've got 5 turns left. We're halfway through the game. You've got 1 of the 4 cards needed to stop the incident. What say you?
So maybe this would be a good time to call a consultant, since we're
we just
halfway
lost
through
somebody.
and we're not doing so great. Yeah.
No, that's
exactly what
really
management would do.
yeah, that's a really
great
solid point. Yeah, absolutely. You just lost someone. You say you go to the legal team and you say, "Hey, if you're going to take our person, you got to come up with budget for us to go get somebody because we're deep in it right now." So that happens in the real world. Who said that? Who was that? Was that Caitlin? Was that V?
Yep.
All right. Okay. Is that what everyone agrees to? Call a consultant?
Yeah.
Concur.
Excellent. Caitlin, please choose a dice.
Oh, all purple all the way. Let's go.
7. All right. But that only brings us to 10.
The modifier.
So close.
Do we have a third color?
Can we swirl it? Like, can we do something? All right. So call a consultant unfortunately didn't work. So I'm gonna pick on let's see, who was it? Jason, which one of the consultant, because I'm not real familiar with consultant cards, which consultant would have told us I don't know, pivot and escalate or C2 and exfil, any of those?
Either George or Chiles or Tim Bedine.
Okay, so we call okay, we're gonna all right, perfect. So you pick up the phone, you say, we got to get George. We got to get George on the phone, and get him on the phone. He answers like, hello? Yeah. We need you in here. We really need you in here. Help us figure this out. And he's like, I'm running a SANS course right now, and I got Bryson in my ear talking about what we need to do for Scythe, and I wished I could help you, but I just don't have the time. Can I get back to you in a couple hours? But a couple hours might be too late. So you say, thanks for your time. Maybe I can call you back later. Let me know. We'll do that. So unfortunately, he wanted to help, but he's deep in it too, and he can't get to you yet. So maybe when he comes back around, you can give him a call again. He'll be like, yes, I finished my SANS course. I'm ready to help you. But for right now, nothing. All right. So we're moving on to 6. James made the call. That's what he's over there. I swear he's just playing Warcraft. I don't know. And I'm like, who even does that anymore? And he's like, oh, I play Warcraft Classic. It's cool. And I'm like, whatever. That's fine. I mean, maybe do your job. Okay. So we're on to move 6. We don't know much else. We have 3 more to go.
So what does the group think about firewall log?
That's what I was looking at this point too, because we're getting so close to the doom time.
Right. We got 3 cards and 5 chances.
I mean, hopefully we've
There's
got
no
some laws in
modifier
there.
on this one, so we don't get the +3 that if we get that 8 doesn't bring us to 11. So it's a hard roll on that one.
We do have our sim again.
Yeah.
We do.
Would the firewall logs be in sim?
They could be.
We say they are.
should be.
It depends. It depends if.
Were those also turned off?
You never
We
know.
fixed that.
You'd have to check. But arguably, they should be there.
All right. Well, in that case, personally, I think Sim would kill two birds with one stone.
Yeah.
It could, but if we're trying to pick up the C2 firewall logs, would help us as well.
Yeah, you got to check that out. Ben's like, if James configured them, forget it. He's like, yeah, I routed everything to null. That's good, right?
I think there's a lot of emphasis on firewall logs.
A lot of emphasis on firewall logs. Can we get everyone up on the screen? We'll do a thumbs up vote here. Let's see. Let's bring everybody up. Wonderful. Firewall logs. Thumbs up. Is that? We got 1, 2. Ralphie, Ralph, get back in the legal room.
Yeah.
Gee, what are you doing? All right. So thumbs up again. Who did we have? Because Ralph can't vote. So we got 4 of you. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Caitlin's the abstainer. Caitlin, just out of curiosity, where were you thinking?
I just think that we should look at the sim. I think that hopefully we've got all of those logs in there and we get the +3 modifier on it. So if, purple fails us again, then we should be good. Hopefully, fingers crossed.
Caitlin convinced me. I'm on the sim board. So.
Oh man, you're ditching us now.
Intrigue. Palace
You need a tiebreaker.
Now it's 2-2. 2-2. I need somebody to cave here, or you know what we'll do? We'll do a dice roll to decide.
What are you thinking?
I don't know. I'm thinking rock, paper, scissors, Spock. I don't know. I'm kind of in between.
Do you want to let fate decide?
Yeah,
let's do some house rules. Let's do it. Jason, can you give us a roll for whether they want to try their firewall rules or if they want to try sim? And since I'm choosing, we're going orange.
All right.
By the way, Magneto, you spelled your wrong.
Oh, snap.
If you roll the dice, does it count as a turn in the tabletop? Or can you do it?
No, we won't count it. So 1 through 10 will be sim, and 11 through 20 will be firewall.
Okay. Let's see her go.
Come on.
All right. So firewall it is. The fates have decided. Now you have to roll if it's going to be successful. So let's go. Does anyone want? I think everyone wanted to go purple, right? Because now they hate orange.
We just needed that 20 on our last chance.
Well, that would have gotten you an inject.
We wasted our good roll.
That would have gotten you an inject, though.
That's true.
Yeah. So a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B. Okay. You guys want to do purple again?
Well, it hasn't been very friendly either, but we'll do it.
Okay.
Nice.
18.
We needed that really bad.
All right. So you did your firewall analysis. You start looking through the firewall logs, and everything looks normal. You start looking through, and it's like, wait a minute, this all seems fine. But then when you start digging a bit deeper, wait a minute, hold on, let me look at this. Wait. Oh. Stephanie, hey, did you configure that next gen firewall that we got? No, not next quarter, this quarter. So the layer 7. Oh. Yeah, it turns out all those cloud services actually go through a layer 7 firewall that hasn't been set up for logging yet. So maybe there was something there, but it's not set up to log yet. So unfortunately, that didn't really give you any other information either. So what are we on to? We're on to this is move 7, right? Let's take a look here. I'm taking some notes to fill you in on the.
I'm gonna need to update my resume.
I used to joke when I worked in a knock that we were gonna make it so that certain events automatically uploaded a resume to Monster. But it was our resume, not like somebody else's. So, but it was a joke. But yeah. All right. So we're on to move 7. We are running low here. Do we have? Can we bring up the +3 cards just a little closer? Perfect. All right. So your seam is still there. Your consultant's not back yet. You could do endpoint. You could do user entity behavior, and also isolation. So I mean, you've only got 7, 8, 9. Oh, we're on. This is move 7, so you've got a couple moves left. I would highly suggest that maybe you start leveraging some of those other ones to see where it leads you.
What about UAVA? Because it's going to deal with concurrent logins.
Yeah, UEBA or isolation. Just shut down that part of the network.
Do we know what part that is?
But is isolation going to give us anything closer to finding out what's happened? Or is it simply just going to isolate the machine? Which in practice works.
Yeah. So
having to do a little metagaming right now in the really real world.
Right. So we have 3 chances left with 3 cards left. So in the spirit of the game, to stop the damage, plus using the modifier, which we obviously desperately need, unless Ian decides to rickroll us by saying that the layer 7 firewall is not set up.
I think they need to. Yeah, I think they need to really hire some new staff.
Yeah, no. I mean, we get what we can get. I mean, if you came in and you saw the environment the way it is, I mean, you know, we hire the best interns.
Ian, you gotta send your employees to Black Hills training.
That's true. That's absolutely right. They're
take a class with Bo.
That's right. They do need to take a class with Bo. Get some cloud perimeter training. Breach that thing.
So what about we do the seam again, because we get the modifier for it?
Gonna bring the seam back into action. That's right, Thomas. That's what we hired you guys for. The top-notch crack incident response team we've got here on the phone.
Wait, we get paid?
What's that?
I'm saying, as far as I know, we don't get paid.
No. Oh, well, no. You get
like interns. Cheap labor.
Right. Hey, you're getting paid in exposure. All right. So I think we heard seam again. Everyone agree with seam?
I'll go with it.
Wonderful. Yes. Purple dice again?
I'll go with the team.
All right. Let's give it purple. Come on, purple. 2.
Yeah.
Man.
It's rigged.
Okay.
The game is rigged.
The game is rigged.
Okay.
We need to do a code review on these dice.
This is actually past that point where we put in a resume like, I'm just gonna look for a new job, like a new career. Yeah,
career change.
I'm gonna move out to South Dakota and become a farrier. I'm gonna shoe horses. Just look at the sky. Okay, so let's get into the scenario here. So anyway, you started digging back through the seam again, and you're looking through it, and you're not seeing anything new. Now, what you start to realize as you're looking through here and you're running your searches, oh, wait a minute, hold on. This query is not done running. What's going on? So the query is just chugging, and the data you're getting back isn't complete. So you're trying to find something. Maybe there's still something in there. Maybe there isn't, but the data you're getting back currently is not showing you anything. So you say, well, you know, maybe we come back to this. Maybe we get a sharper search query. Maybe we start looking for something else inside of that search. But right now, we've got nothing new. So we're moving on to turn 8. Now, let's see. Did we pass turn 6, right? Are we do another inject? Did we fail 3 times? I think we failed 3 times, right?
No, because we got an 18 on the firewall.
We did get an 18.
Yeah, you did pass. Okay, cool. So you've got one more until you get an inject. Okay. Woo. Remember, the injects can be good, though. They're good injects. So, you know, somebody could show up with, like I said, pizza and cold Red Bull. You know,
is there a sleep option in this game? I mean, how long have we been up working this incident, just getting rolled?
As Jason talked about advanced cubicle compromises, we do take fatigue into account in advanced cubicles and compromises, but not here. Okay. This is not that's not part of the play. So, all right. So you've still got a couple cards that you could play there that are not in cooldown. Your consultant comes back in turn 9. but they're not there yet. And you can play some of these other ones, but yeah, I would definitely keep hanging on to those +3s because it really does seem like you need them. So what do y'all think? CEO doesn't care. Oh, they care. End of quarter. It's the end of the quarter. They want to know what's going on.
I think it's Russia. This is too advanced.
It's Russia. But it's not fancy bear. It's like it's a casual bear. He's got, he's good.
It's lazy bear.
He threw a corporate logo polo on.
Khaki bear. Perfect. That'll be the next APT.
Right. Okay. So let's moving through the game here.
So isolation and UEBA were suggested previously.
Okay. UEBA or isolation. What says the team?
I think UEBA.
UEBA.
Yeah, I'm gonna go for that one as well.
Okay, UEBA. All right. Purple, we heard? I think we heard purple.
Purple dice, your days are numbered. All right.
Wow.
You're back on the end circle.
And guess what? Mr. Jason, if you would please reveal for us pivot and escalate. We now know that, and you probably could have guessed, it was credential stuffing. So what do we now know about the incident? Well, you heard me say service accounts. And what has happened is somehow the attackers have gotten a hold of service accounts that exist in that cloud service, that hybrid cloud environment, and they've started taking them and putting them everywhere they can find them. They're going through and they're trying to use them because they found them. So they found them in that outside service, and they say, wait a minute, hold on. We know that this service is tied back to this company. And so we're going to find anything on their edge that'll take a credential, and we're going to throw it at it, and we're going to see if we can get in. And they were successful in doing so, which allowed them to pivot and escalate into the environment. So now we know that they somehow have gotten cloud credentials out of some cloud service we're using, and they were able to use those to pivot into our internal environment. What we still don't know is what those credentials necessarily were. And we also don't know how they're getting data out or what data they're getting out. So we still need to discover C2 and exfil, and we still need to discover persistence. And coming back into gameplay, I believe we do have the consultants now, correct? With 2 turns left. So we are on turn 9. You have 2 turns left and 2 things to discover. You can do it. I believe in all of you.
Yeah, so either we do perfectly on these last 2 turns, or we maybe get a consultant that gives us some more turns.
Gets us both. Gets us one.
Gets you both, yeah.
Or gets us both. You can choose Is there a consultant that gives us both of these?
Oh, that's a good question, Jason. I don't know. I don't know the consultants yet. Do we have a consultant that can tell you the... Well, you could... Well, no, you can't because you only got 2 turns left. I was going to say you could choose one of the consultants that gives you like a +5 modifier or one of those, but that would only give you 1 card. So
I think we have a consultant that does extra turns.
Yeah, there's a consultant for extra turns.
Oh, who's that? Who's got that wonderful consultant card?
Chloe.
Chloe. Chloe. A wonderful, wonderful person who would absolutely give you extra turns if she could. So that totally makes sense. Like, no, we'll get it. We'll do this. We got it. Okay, so what do y'all think? Are you going to call the consultant? And if you get it, are you ringing Chloe?
Here, use my phone.
Yeah.
All right. Call the consultant. We get purple treated you well last time. You sticking with purple, everybody?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm not hearing a no. Ooh, okay. So why is that rule not coming in? Jason, they get the consultant and they get an inject, or they just get the inject?
They get the consultant and an inject.
Oh, right. Man. This might pull you out. Wow. So you get can we see the Chloe card first? Yeah, absolutely. So we give Chloe a phone call, and they're like, "Oh wow, I'm so sorry that you're having these problems. I've got a team that might be able to help you out, that we can have work on this in parallel. Let's see if we can get some defenders on there with you and into your environment, and they can work at the same time during that incident. So now you got a little more head count, a little more horsepower, so you can turn that last turn into, what is this, 3 extra turns. So we are now going into extra innings thanks to Chloe, but we also get an inject card. So let's get our inject card, and Steam goes.
James, we talked about this.
Man, that is rough.
We had a long talk. Were there any questions that you had?
Yeah, right.
The only thing that's worked.
Yeah.
What is it? What was Sim running on an old laptop?
That's
Oh.
great.
What's our
okay.
budget? Jesus Christ.
It must be running on AWS.
Oh.
No, they just send you a
USC
larger
spin
bill.
down.
It does go down. They just be like, that's $37,000. Thanks for your query.
Was this the one where they sell you a very small license and then they tell you to send everything to
That's right.
the SIM?
Yes.
Overall, it.
Yes.
You can run this sensor on a Raspberry Pi.
Mhm.
No.
The more data
it
you
was on
send,
a
the
Raspberry
better.
Pi. Josh gave up exactly as I was saying that. Okay, so let me take a note here for the end. So,
Yeah, Fox it is now.
okay, so your seam's down. Let's get that off the board. And so no more, yeah. Oh, bye, seam.
Are there any good inject cards? 'Cause
There are, yeah.
I feel like we don't know where they are.
Trying to see here. Where is? Oh yeah, here's a good one. One of the injects is SIEM analyst returns from Splunk training +2 modifier to all logging.
Oh yeah.
So there are good ones in there.
I think we got a good inject last time we played. Actually, it revealed 2 of the cards.
Oh yeah.
It did.
Okay, so we got 3 more turns. Chloe's helped us out. We're doing, they're getting there. The SIEM went down though, so that's going to be a problem because a lot of our logs were going in there. But that's okay. Steve. Yeah, no, get the SIEM back. No, what do you mean you ran a query to the beginning of time? Well, we have 4 terabytes of log. Do you have any? Just go home for the rest of the. Okay, so Steve ran a query against all 4 terabytes of log files, and that's what took the thing down. We're going to get it back up, but we might have some data store corruption, so it's going to take a minute to do those restores. Yeah, so there went your SIEM. We'll get it back up and running hopefully soon. But Chloe's got you covered with some extra folks. So what are we going to do here with our next turn? We are on to turn 10. Keeping in mind you have 3 extra turns.
So this is turn 10, and then we have 3 additional turns after this one.
Mm-hmm.
You want to go with the ones with some extra oomph in them. The endpoint and isolation are the ones that have the what's that number? The addition.
Endpoint security
+3?
protection.
+3.
Oh, okay.
I think I vote for endpoint. So maybe we can figure out the persistence.
Okay. I think you called that originally purple or orange.
Oh, that's a hard decision.
Oh man, that's the thing. You take a leadership role, you gotta, run with it.
No, this is not leadership. This is just jumping on the grenade.
Everyone else stepped backwards.
I'm gonna follow what everybody's been doing and just go with purple.
Purple's good. All right, let's see it. Was that a roll? Was it 7?
I don't think it was a roll. Was it a roll?
Yeah, that was a roll.
That was a roll. Okay, the camera cut
Yeah.
back, and we only saw you pick it up.
Yeah, I don't believe it.
Yeah.
I vote reroll.
You know what I love about this? No one's blaming me for this. They're like, Jason. I'm like, how did that happen? Okay, so we got a 7. Unfortunately, that only takes us to 10 with your +3, so you were right at the edge there. So here's the thing. You start looking through the analysis from the behavior analytics, and you're seeing something. Something does look odd. There are some behaviors that you don't necessarily expect to see happen from certain systems, but you can't put your finger on it. There's just something that doesn't look normal, but you don't know why. So that's really, unfortunately, because the roll failed, you're not potentially getting that additional detail, but there's definitely something going on. All right. So we are now into extra innings. We had our passing roll. So I don't think we actually I don't think it's possible for us to get an inject again. Because we had a failing. No, we could get an inject again. We could get it on roll 13. Okay. So roll 11.
I would say endpoint analysis or Rita. It's kind of where my mind is.
Endpoint analysis. Okay. So we're going to actually go and look at the endpoint on this one. I think I always get the two mixed up. We're actually going and physically looking at grabbing the logs physically off of it, not remote. Correct, Jason?
That is correct. I mean, you could remote into it, but you're looking at the whatever task you're running and things like that.
Wonderful. Perfect.
Yeah, we're looking at persistence now, right? Persistence and
yeah,
you need persistence and you need C2 and exfil at this point.
So endpoint could get us persistence, or Rita could get us exfil. So I think either one is a good option.
Incident Master, can you check with James or Steve and see if they got the logs turned back on for Rita?
Oh yeah, hold on. James, yeah, no, put the switch down. I don't care if it's Mario Party. Okay, fine. Did you get Rita set back? Yes? No. What? Okay, yeah, that's wonderful. You got a star in Mario Party. I'm thrilled for you. Now the Rita logs. Yeah, no, they think they did it. They think it's back up, but I mean, we're gonna have to check that work because James always tells us he's got stuff done, but doesn't. So anyway, so yeah.
If only James was as good at his job as he is at playing on his Switch.
I know.
I don't think he's very good at that either.
So, I think so. Are we doing? You trust James?
I do not.
Okay, first off, James is the owner's kid. It's okay, but So anyway,
preferential.
A little bit of nepotism going on. So anyway, so we got to get those two. You said endpoint analysis, and he's a people person. I'm a people person. So we need either endpoint analysis, and I also heard Rita. What saith the group?
I'll do endpoint.
Does everyone agree with that?
Let's do it.
Let's go.
But I'm not picking the dice.
All right.
Okay,
I heard Caitlin say let's do it immediately after Q. So Caitlin, you pick the dice.
Purple.
Purple on endpoint. 4.
This is the gift of the game.
Yeah.
Okay. So we go over and we start looking around to see what we can find out about the systems. And you go over and you think that based on some of the traffic you're seeing, maybe it's the developers. So you go back into the developer pit and you start looking around and seeing, is there anything here that we can look at? So you examine a couple developer laptops, you sit down, and they're trying to make a developer joke and I can't come up with it quick enough. You walk into the developer room and it reeks of kombucha and hoodies.
That's your room.
Anyway, so you go in there, you examine the developer laptops, and again, you see something in the user behavior logs, and you know that you're getting close, but you're still not quite able to find it. Like everything looks just normal. RGB keyboards everywhere. That's right. They've got those. And if Comrade Evie was on here, they've got productivity hexagons like these and whatnot. So okay, you didn't find anything, unfortunately. So we're gonna move on into 12. And I think on this one, if we get a failure, we are going to get an inject. Is our consultant already back?
Yeah, the consultant is back.
Oh, the consultant's back again. Wow, that was fast.
Wow.
Wasn't it?
No, I think it would 9, 10. So consultant was 9, 10, 11, 12. Wouldn't that be next turn? Yeah.
Thank
I
you.
was about to say,
I saw it back.
How dare you?
You're right.
Okay,
Who spoke up?
We didn't like Jason before, but now. No. Okay, so Rita was your other one that you had called out. Is there anyone that isn't currently turned that you might also want to take a peek at? Inject. Felix is going. Some of the listeners, Felix are like, inject. It's a monster.
I have an opinion, but I'm going to keep it to myself.
No, we don't keep opinions to ourselves. This is an open, loving forum.
Yeah, I mean, what kind of security person keeps opinion?
That's true too.
Get him access to Twitter.
Absolutely.
Have you seen my Twitter?
All right, so let's okay. So what are we doing? Let's get some ideas on the table here.
All right, we're also losing Blake because he has to attend a meeting. Which is,
yeah, we got to move this.
It's very realistic.
That is also very realistic.
It is, yeah.
During incident, you're gonna have other meetings to go to.
All right, so we would have been right on time, but you got Chloe, so we're in extra innings. So let's move this foot through. 12. What are we gonna do?
Rita, I'm still there firmly.
Yeah, I'm sold.
Rita.
But,
all right.
But perhaps we should go orange dice and not have Jason roll it.
Ooh, orange dice.
I think the preference is to not have.
We
Jason
need a celebrity roll, please.
Somebody hold his hand.
No one's gonna respond to my emails anymore.
Oh, man. I think Jason's the only one that can. So
here we go. Come on, money.
10. All right. So what did we have though? Because did we have a which one was it?
Modifier.
Was Rita?
Yeah.
We don't have a modifier. Okay. James. Yeah, no, he left. He knew what he did. He knows he's done wrong.
Dun,
So, Jason, this is the game you invite me to?
Yeah.
This is the one.
This is the one. That's yeah. Unfortunately, it seems like James. He left. He knew what was coming. Like I must have asked him, like, "Hey, did you get those logs in there?" He's like, "Oh yeah, totally. I got the logs in. I got the logs. I'll be right back." So we got one move left.
Beat him up? Did you beat him up? Did you physically
I did. Well, no,
assault him?
that's against HR policy.
It's
There's no
policy,
that.
but
Right. All right. I think we're at the last turn, right? And we got the inject, didn't we? That was inject.
Oh God, you're right.
Oh yeah, inject.
I mean, I keep seeing it in the chat, so I think it's the same person.
Right.
It's all right.
Okay, what do we get? Honey pots deploy. Oh, I think that's a good one. Hold on, bring it up.
I think so.
What do we get?
It reveals the pivot and escalate card. It reveals the pivot and escalate card, which you've already revealed.
Card, which we've already revealed.
Perfect. A card that does nothing for us.
Just the cherry on top.
Doesn't do anything bad. All
right. It
doesn't make me feel better. Sorry.
Yanked it away.
This feels like 2020.
What's funny is y'all were like really like I can't wait to break this incident down because this is gonna be interesting. Okay, so one last move. Let's close her down.
Call a consultant.
That's really our only chance, I think.
Back.
Is
yeah.
Consultant at this point.
And who?
We clearly need somebody to help us out.
what about who would give us C2 or Exfil?
Or both? Is there anybody that gives you both?
There's no way to get both.
No. There's no way to get both.
Okay. There's no way.
Well, let's just see if we can get one then.
We shall not pass.
So Jason, can we? Well, let's first off roll, and then if we're gonna say, are we saying call a consultant?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm calling a consultant.
Yeah. Okay.
What do we have to lose?
I love the exact mood of an incident response. You're towards the end, you're like, whatever.
It is nearly midnight, just for the record.
Okay, so let's give the roll here to move it along here. Let's I'm gonna choose. Let's do purple. $18. Very good. Who are we choosing, Jason? I guess we just pick one that'll give us
the best.
All right, George. Let's see. We already have C2 and Exfil. George will give us.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's perfect because that works in with the storyline. Everyone good with that?
Yeah.
All right. So remember earlier you called George. You're like, George, help us out. Well, all right. He finished up his SANS class. He's on a break, and he called back and said, "Hey, I'm on a break. What's going on? Can I help?" And you start describing the problem to him, and he goes, "Oh man, that really sounds like you've got." And if we go ahead and reveal the C2 and Exfil card, it seems like you've got some Exfil over HTTPS. So let's see what's happened so far. So right now you've got a cloud environment that somehow it was leaking some credentials. Those credentials were then used against your environment, and somehow they were getting more data out of your environment using HTTPS and just going right straight out. So what we didn't get was our persistence card. We don't know how that data was getting out, and unfortunately, I believe that was our 13th turn. So even though Chloe brought in the big guns to help you out, unfortunately, the mystery was not solved. Scooby and the gang will go home. Lawyers, we'll get Ralph back with the lawyers and say, get the cyber insurance people. We're in trouble here. All right. So who wants to hear what actually happened?
Yes.
Everyone's
Yes.
Do it.
Just
Fine.
yes.
Just tell us.
There's so much
What?
enthusiasm in here.
Actually,
I know, right?
happened.
No
So,
thunder.
this particular incident, the way I always, who cares at this point? Everyone knows attribution's a joke. No. So this was actually based off the most recent CodeCov disclosure, where essentially what happened was CodeCov, which is a code quality company that integrates into your CI/CD pipeline. And the reason this popped into my head as I was doing this is Rapid7, a large provider of vulnerability and scanning management. For those who are listening to this and aren't, just getting into the field, they had to disclose a breach because they said, "Hey, we use this CodeCov, I should say, because it's like code coverage tool." And attackers were able to use it to get a hold of a portion of our source code. So using that as the basis for this scenario, what actually happened was developers in your organization were using a tool like CodeCov that had hard-coded AD credentials in it. Now, these services that were coded into the containers, they were only ever really running internally to the environment and then connecting outbound to these cloud services that they're actually running in this hybrid environment. You heard me say that this is a hybrid environment, right? So they were phoning home that way. This is also, by the way, a really good reason to not have hard-coded credentials in your containers and use a secrets manager. So the attackers got that initial compromise by poisoning. And the reason we have external cloud service is just as you can read about in the CodeCov breach response, they poisoned the containers that you would pull into your CI/CD pipeline and used their bash script functions to actually send data out. So that's where we got the HTTPS. If you actually go through and look at the exfil method, they were using curl script, curl through HTTPS through this bash updater tool that would send the code up to CodeCov, and then analyze it. And so what they'd do is they'd send it there, but they'd also redirect it somewhere else. And the attackers would analyze it. They found these service credentials, which they then used all over the environment. Actually, that's glaring there, but the credential stuffing, they said, hey, let's try and use these everywhere. You then said, well, wait a minute, service accounts are working from the outside? Yes, because those service accounts were set up as domain admin because they were only ever supposed to be inside of the environment. So they went through, they got those credentials, and on external services that for whatever reason had domain admin as an allowed login externally, they were able to log in. So in the end, it was essentially a supply chain compromise of a code quality tool that allowed for additional credentials to be leaked out and then the attackers to come back in. So it's a little topsy-turvy. In this case, the exfiltration actually happened when the credentials got out, not when the attackers got in. So that was the scenario. If we want to come back to everyone, if you'd like to ask me questions, call me a jerk, whatnot. I think you all did phenomenally, though. Because the notes that I had here that I actually put up at the top was I tried. So when you went to the server analysis, I was like, no, go to the endpoints, because the storyline was going to be they were running a local Docker container that had their code quality thing on it. They were running it, they were checking it, and your UEBA spotted, hey, wait a minute, this should never be coming from here, right? When Caitlin suggested we should try the seam again, you should try the seam again, because that would have given you one of the other ones. And thankfully, though, for those of you who were worried about the inject, your seam not working by the end, there were no cards that were going to discover that. So it actually didn't hurt you.
What
So,
sucks about this is that our code is still terrible.
right. Just so everyone knows, code is still terrible. And Ralph's in there with the lawyers. He'll be like, "Hey, okay, out of the IKEA thing, let's talk about how we got to pay out on this breach." So,
Someone
paying
check
everybody.
up on Ralph. Is he still okay? Did you survive the lawyers?
That's a negative.
Ralph is the only one who gets to keep his job.
Only by proxy.
yeah, the lawyers at the end took him all out for steak and scotch and whatnot. He's like, "So, what I miss, folks?
Well, this sounds horrible over there. This is great. These guys just talk and feed me.
They did a reverse sear on this steak. It's amazing." Excellent. So thank you all for playing, and thank you for having me, Jason. This was a pile of fun.
Yeah, thank you all so much. We're going to wrap it up for today. If you joined us at the beginning, if you would like to play in the future, always let us know. If you ever want a demo for you and your organization, you can always reach out to us at Black Hills Information Security, and we can do that for you. For those of you that hung out the whole time, thanks for doing that. This was the most brutal game I've ever seen. I've never seen a game this brutal. I've never seen a game go to 13 rounds before. And I've never seen it get to 13 rounds and not be resolved. Like it's never happened. Like you had 2 consultants, you had 3 inject cards.
Those
Like
dice were mean. Those are some mean dice.
wow. So well done to our people, our friends who volunteered today, and thank you so much for being a part of our community. And to everyone who watched, thank you. We'll see you next time. And Ian, great job.
Thank you.
I mean, the fact that you had to keep rolling with the reason why things weren't working, I was like, I don't know if he's going to be able to do it again. And you're like, James! I was like, oh, that's great. So I definitely learned a couple things today that I'm going to incorporate into when I do,
Awesome.
when I play Incident Master. So
Love you, buddy.
all right, everybody. Thank you. Go ahead and kill it, Ryan. Kill it with fire. The stream is done for today, and we are out.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank
Bye,
you.
guys.